Hello everyone. Welcome to the first lecture of week 8 on modernization and creative communication. We all believe that communication lies at the heart of societal progress and global connectivity. It serves as a bridge fostering relationship, driving innovation, and enabling collective growth. However, in this interconnected world, the reality is far from the ideal. Not everyone enjoys equal access or representation within communication systems. These disparities create a dominion of barriers, social, cultural, economical, technological, that hinder what? That hinder inclusion, mutual understanding, and collaboration. So, this session titled Dominion of Communication Barrier aims to delve into the complexities of communication barriers, exploring their origins, impacts, and potential strategies for overcoming them. By understanding these challenges, we can pave the way for more inclusive and equitable communication practices, essentially to develop a truly connected and progressive society. So let's navigate through these barriers to envision a future of seamless and universal communication. Effective communication is essential for any society, organization, or individual to thrive. However, barriers often arise. We always know, we have read about physiological barriers, psychological barriers, social barriers, cultural barriers, but which of course disrupt the flow of communication system. But there are four critical barriers which are hindering our growth in today's era. Today, that's why we will be briefly discussing four critical barriers that shape and challenge the dominion of communication practices. The digital divide, which limits access to technology, fake news and power dynamics, which distort trust and credibility. Third, corporatism in communication, which prioritizes profit over diverse voices, and social media as a double-edged sword, which both connects and polarizes. The concept of the digital divide represents one of the most pressing communication barriers in the modern era. This divide refers to the unequal access to technology and internet services, which is often influenced by geography, socio-economic status, and policy frameworks. For example, urban areas typically enjoy far more better internet connectivity and access to digital resources than what the rural people get. Isn't it true? This inequality has a profound impact on marginalized communities, particularly those who we consider as indigenous groups and rural population. These groups are often excluded from the benefits of digital services, this technological innovation, such as the biggest and the most important one, the online education system, telemedicine, and e-governance, perpetuating systematic inequalities. Without access to these resources, their ability to participate in economic, social, and cultural opportunities becomes severely restricted. Research by Van Jack in his work, The Digital Divide, highlights that the digital divide is not just physical access to these devices and networks, but also about the skills and capabilities to effectively use these digital technologies. So, for a moment, please watch this video.
This child mends shoes at the tender age of 11. He attends a school, knowing that the odds are against him.
خلص المدرسة وبروح الشغل. مفيش إنترنت في المدرسة. لو دخل الكمبيوتر في المدرسة هيحسن التعليم عندنا.
Without access to the internet, he is slipping further into the trap of poverty. In a nearby neighborhood, we meet a young girl. She is sadly on the wrong side of the digital divide.
نفسي أعرف في الكمبيوتر والإنترنت بس بالذات في الدراسات.
This is how technology can drive continents, classes, and generations apart. And the gap is widening, like a wound between those that are privileged and others that are disenfranchised. The disenfranchised are constantly facing the struggle to connect because of where they live. That is half of our world's population today, now defined as digitally illiterate. This man lives in an area called the City of Graves. He has little chance of escaping the dreadful surroundings.
الإنترنت دخل عندنا عيالها تتعلم أكتر ويزيدوا ذكاء.
The digital divide separates and disadvantages the poorest people. They are the ones that are most likely to benefit from having access to the internet. And without digital technology, a country's potential for economic growth is hindered, making it even more challenging to compete in our global economy. This is their reality, and this is our challenge. We need to harness new solutions that bridge the digital divide. We have to rethink networks, satellites, and technology to make connectivity a universal right. And by scaling our efforts, we can find new ways to avail reliable and affordable internet access.
Access to data is becoming really important, or is really important in terms of ordinary community members, just to be involved, to be included. Whether it's online banking, being able to communicate with people, the poorer you are, the more expensive data costs.
So, are you the one? If you were given the chance to change a life, what would you do? To connect, to create, to empower, and to give hope, not just to people, but to nations and continents everywhere. Because we believe that access to innovation paves the way to building prosperity.
So, you must have realized what Jan van Dijk inquired through his work. Bridging this divide requires holistic interventions, including infrastructure development, affordable technology, and digital literacy programs tailored to the needs of underserved communities. By understanding the manifestations and impacts of the digital divide, we can begin to develop strategies that promote inclusivity and ensure that the digital advancements benefit everyone regardless of their location or socio-economic status. Now, in order to understand this global digital divide, we must consider, or we must first understand the key aspects of these digital divide. First aspect is technological disparities. It is the unequal development of internet and technological infrastructure, While developed countries enjoy advanced networks, many developing and underdeveloped nations lag behind. This disparity means that people in these areas remain less connected. They miss out many opportunities and they miss out on the technological advancements. For example, let's say about this. Countries with limited infrastructure cannot easily adopt cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence or even the 5G networks, deepening the divide further. Now, next, let's consider the impact on education. We are every day progressing and we are making changes in our education policy, making it reliable, making it more independent so that everybody can access. But this access to digital resources have become critical for today's learning, for today's generation, because half of them are still remaining in the section of underprivileged. In these regions, say for example, the rural communities, the tribal communities who have the dreams to prosper, they want to educate themselves, they have their own ambitions, cannot get access to these kind of digital resources. And the reasons are very much well known to all of us. This widens the gap between digitally rich and digitally poor regions, perpetuating what? Perpetuating inequality in educational outcomes. Third, the most critical aspect is economic consequences. Countries or regions with limited internet access struggle to participate in the digital economy. Opportunities like remote work, e-commerce, and online services are often inaccessible. So resulting in what? Resulting in slower economic growth. This exclusion not only affects individuals but also reduces a nation's competitiveness in the global market. Next, we talk about democratic participation. Now, the digital divide also limits this kind of participation. In the digital age, access to information is crucial for civic engagement, voting, and public discourse. But when communities are excluded from these platforms, their voices are silenced, weakening democratic processes, right? So this creates a significant challenge for equitable governance and citizen participation. Finally, we have to look into this aspect as well, the tourism development. In an era where online promotion is vital, regions with a limited digital presence struggle to attract visitors. Without robust online platforms to showcase cultural heritage or tourism attractions, these regions lose out on economic opportunities that tourism could have brought to them. So, these aspects of digital divide requires collaborative efforts for government, private sectors, and global organizations. Infrastructural development, affordable internet, and digital literacy programs are essential to ensure that no one is left behind. Now we will be talking about the next barrier that has become very effective and impactful in our life, and that is fake news. Fake news and, of course, power dynamics. In the past, fake news took the form of colonial propaganda used to justify exploitation and suppress resistance by distorting historical truths and controlling narratives. This highlights how misinformation has long been tied to power dynamics. Now, today, fake news is amplified by digital platforms, making it easier for misinformation to spread rapidly. This includes targeted campaigns such as political propaganda or misinformation about environmental issues designed to manipulate public opinion for specific agendas. right? And then we talk about misinformation and fake news. Misinformation refers to incorrect information shared without harmful intent, but fake news involves deliberate falsehoods spread to deceive and manipulate audience. Next is cognitive biases in the spread of misinformation. People are more likely to believe information that aligns with their pre-existing belief system. So what you know, you try to stick to it. But then individuals judge like the likelihood of an event based on how easily examples come to mind, which can be skewed by information. And what's the impact? The impact is fake news undermines trust in legitimate sources of information, making it harder for people to discern truth from falsehood. And secondly, it perpetuates inequalities by delegitimizing marginalized voices and reinforcing existing power imbalances. Understanding these dynamics is really essential for building media literacy and ensuring accountability in communication systems. Now, we will discuss about corporatism in communication. This is a concept that sheds light on how the concentration of media ownership in the hands of a few powerful corporations influences the information we consume and shapes public narratives. This issue has been a topic of significant debate among critics and researchers. Let's delve into its key aspects. Corporatism in communication refers to the consolidation of media ownership by a small group of corporations. This concentration of power allows these entities to control what information is shared with the public. As Noam Chomsky and Edward S. Herman highlighted in their propaganda model in 1988, media corporations systematically filter information to favor the interests of advertisers and owners, often at the expense of public interest. When a handful of corporations dominate the media landscape, the diversity of perspectives diminishes and narratives become aligned with corporate agendas. For example, stories that are critical of these corporations are often sidelined, ensuring their reputations remain untarnished. We will now discuss corporatism in communication, a concept that sheds light on how the concentration on media ownership in the hands of few powerful operations influences the information we consume and shapes public narratives. This issue has been a topic of significant debate among critics and researchers. Let's explore into its key aspects. Corporatism in communication refers to the consolidation of media ownership by a small group of corporations. This concentration of power allows these entities to control what information is shared with the public. As Chomsky and Edward S. Herman highlighted in their work Propaganda Model published in 1988, media corporations systematically filter information to favor the interests of advertisers and owners, often at the expense of public interest. Now, when a handful of corporations dominate the media landscape, the diversity of perspectives diminishes and narratives become aligned with corporate agendas. For example, stories critical of these corporations are often sidelined, ensuring their reputations remain untarnished. Now, next, manifestations of corporatism. Now, corporate interests play a very significant role in deciding which stories are covered and how they are presented or represented. Stories critical of corporate practices such as environmental harm, labor exploitation, or monopolistic behavior are often underreported or reframed to minimize their impact. As Robert McChesney, in his work, The Political Economy of Media, Enduring Issues and Emerging Dilemmas in 2008 notes, profit-driven motives dominate media operations, leading to a bias in favor of corporate-friendly narratives. For example, consider the protests against environmental degradation by large corporations. These events might receive minimal or negative coverage in corporate-controlled media to avoid harming their business interests. Now, next, advertising-driven agendas. Another manifestation of corporatism is the prioritization of sensational videos, sensational stories over meaningful journalism. Media platforms driven by profit motives often produce content tailored to maximize advertisements or advertising revenue rather than inform the public. Sensationalism and clickbait, few of the pictures are there on the slides, dominate headlines, sidelining important but less profitable topics. You have seen such lines, after taking these 3 pills, the child has started, and there are 3 dots. So those pictures, encash you through, influence you, and you just tap on that news to find out what more is written over there. These are known as clickbaits, right? So the images that I have given here illustrate this phenomena. Content designed for entertainment or shock value takes precedences over the stories that address really critical issues. Researchers have always argued that such practices dilute the quality of democratic discourse, and secondly, reduces media to a platform for shaping and protecting consumer interest. Even, Naomi Klein, in her book No Logo, critiques how media has suffered, or media makes the individual suffer through constructing these kind of information. They have turned these advertisements into a vehicle for promoting rather than for giving some meaningful information to the public. And then, what are the implications of this? The corporatization of media has far-reaching consequences. It limits the diversity of voices in public discourses, undermines the democratic role of journalism, and fosters a culture of consumerism over critical engagement. Now, we will explore how the duality of social media plays the role of a double-edged sword. While social media has transformed communication and society, its impact is far from uniform. It holds immense potential for positive change, but also harbors significant risks. Let's critically examine its role, referencing these key research to deepen our understanding about this. Now, social media has, as we all believe, revolutionized how we connect and mobilize. Social media has been instrumental in empowering movements like #Black Lives Matter and #MeToo. These platforms enable individuals to rally for justice and equality, raising awareness of critical issues worldwide. As Siva Vaidyanathan had remarked in the work anti-social media, such mobilizations highlight the transformative potential of these platforms in fostering civic engagement. Now, access to information is always there. Social media democratizes the information by bypassing traditional gatekeepers. It allows marginalized voices to reach global platforms, global audience, fostering inclusion and diversity in public discourses. These benefits really demonstrate how social media can be a force for societal progress and when used responsibly. But there are some negativities attached to it. Despite these positive aspects, social media's design and operation often lead to unintended consequences. First, algorithms prioritize engagement, often amplifying divisive and sensational content. This dynamic contributes to political polarization, as highlighted during, as you have seen, in the elections, where viral content exacerbates divisions, right? And then spread of misinformation that I have already talked about. Derkashian and Wardle in their work Information Disorder in 2017 had said that this framework, the spread of fake news, shows how misinformation undermines trust in institutions and shapes public opinions in harmful ways. Of course, the more you spread a particular news, it will affect the psyche of the individuals, and that's what happens, and that's the profit these false news makers get out of it, right? Even a few corporate giants are there who dominate the social media landscape, concentrating power over public discourse. This centralization raises concern about manipulation and lack of accountability, further limiting the diversity of voices. But what can we do about it? To harness the potential of social media while mitigating its harms, we need to do three things. First, educating users to critically access online information and identify what is information and to understand what is misinformation. Second, on regulation, holding platforms accountable for harmful content and promoting ethical algorithm design. It is available there, but we hardly use it. So this is something that we have to take care of. And third, encouraging users to engage with diverse perspectives to break free from echo chambers. Social media is indeed a double-edged sword. On one side, it empowers voices and mobilizes change, but on the other side, we must remember it amplifies polarization and misinformation. See, the pictures in these slides also highlight the multifaceted impact of social media, showcasing its role in social movements like #Black Lives Matter, marketing campaigns such as Maggie's, this welcome back when this advertisement came up, when Maggie's image was tarnished in the public, and then media campaigns went on and they got back Maggie into the market. And even what we have seen during COVID-19 pandemic, right? So, as we conclude today's discussion, let us reflect on the barriers and inequalities we have explored and look ahead toward possible solutions. The challenges posed by digital divide, fake news, corporatism in communication, and social media dynamics are significant. What are these barriers? First, perpetuate systematic inequalities by limiting access to technology and unbiased information. Second, lead to exclusion and misrepresentation of marginalized voices in public discourse. Understanding these challenges is the first step toward creating a more equitable and communication landscape. Looking ahead, we must ensure that governments and organizations must work together to bridge the digital divide and address corporatism by ensuring equitable access to technology and diverse media ownership. Secondly, we have to equip individuals with skills to critically evaluate information and combat misinformation, which is very crucial in today's media landscape. And third, as I have already mentioned, I repeat it here, that social media platforms must be held accountable to operate ethically, ensuring inclusivity and reducing the spread of harmful content. So, as we come to the end of this lecture session, we must remember that communication has the power to connect and empower individuals and communities. However, for this potential to be realized, it must be rooted in inclusivity, ethics, and responsibility. By addressing these barriers collectively, we can bridge divides and create a more equitable, progressive, and productive and informed world. Thank you so much.